All right. I'm ready when you are.
They had beef. I'm crying. Bless you. Bless you. See, I do not be on social media. I'll be on in my own world. I ain't know they had a fake, real social media beef.
Cool.
Asante Samuels and Deion Sanders.
Yeah, they had a beef. It actually extended from some time ago because they asked, I guess when he was at the NFL Network, he had asked Asante Samuel, or they had asked who was the top corners at the time. This one was like Revis and Nnamdi Asamoah and all these other people. And Deion named those people, but he said that Asante Samuel was one of the top off corners in the game, period. But he
They
didn't.
use different techniques, though. That's what it is.
Yeah. So basically, yeah, that Asante didn't hear that part. They had like a little beef. They went back and forth. In the episode, Asante was basically talking to Coach Prime like, yo, that how much that hurt because I looked up to Prime, I looked up to you, da 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 da, and Prime was like, no, I get it.
Pride thing.
Yeah. Now the other thing is the other thing was that Coach Prime was like, yo, they don't travel. Like Asante just stayed on one side. He don't travel. So whoever thinks, so that's what he was saying. Like Coach Prime was saying, it's about the matchup. Asante Samuel was like, no, that's the technique is different for me because I stayed on that side and I focused more on the quarterback. I took away that side, but then my stats, when you look at my stats, they don't really talk about that because I didn't travel, but my stats match up to some of the greatest of all time. So I should be in that conversation. So that's the gist I got from it. But you know what I mean?
His numbers are crazy, though.
Mm-hmm.
So he should be up there.
Right.
But, because I think he had like 700 plus returns or touchdowns. His numbers is crazy.
Okay.
But Deion numbers are way better. I think he had 51 interceptions. Deion had like 54 or something like that. Asante my guy, though.
Asante is your guy.
He my guy, though.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
What makes him your guy?
When he was on that Patriots, you know what I'm saying?
Oh.
I fuck with that song.
Oh, wow.
That's my nigga, though. But ain't nobody better than Prime, so they better relax.
Nah, I don't think Asante was saying I was better than Prime. I think he was saying my numbers are comparable.
Because he doesn't get talked about when it comes to some of the best corners in the league. He doesn't.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't. He does not.
But he was a problem.
He was a fucking problem. Anybody watch him play?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So we'll have a conversation about that and so much more. You know what I mean? 10-9-8-7-6-5-4-3-2-1. It's time to hit the ground running. I'm Boom, and that is not Nate Supreme, the rich woman's lover. See, he missed out. She might be a rich woman. Who knows? But that is not Nate Supreme. He's busy. He's off. I think he's on the Love Boat this week. I don't know. He talking about he on vacation and he doing this and that. And I'm like, but we gotta keep the ball moving. You know what I mean? I'm saying. So I reached out, shout out to Dorcas, I mean, the homie, are you? And I was like, who this you putting in the DM and the IG stories, not the DMs, the IG stories. Let's get it right. I ain't trying to mess up. I ain't trying to mess nothing up for I was like, she's like, that's my bestie. She go hard in the paint. And, I reached out. I was like, all right. Then, we had a little conversation. She's like, yo, you went to Rutgers? I'm like, yo, you went to Rutgers? And she was like, no, I went to Rutgers. I didn't go to Rutgers, but I went to Rutgers. I was like, wow. This is one of those. But if you know, you know.
I know, but I went.
I know. So, but she is.
Let's see if he get it right.
The host. Y'all know y'all like referees and all that shit. White flag, yellow flag, all that stuff. She is the host of Under Review podcast. Is it Under Review or the Under Review?
Under Review podcast.
Under Review podcast,
okay,
man.
Okay, we started. Okay.
It's dope. I said this. A quick story, short story. I remember I was somewhere a year ago. I was at the HBCU Classic, Toyota Classic at MetLife Stadium, and I met a young lady, and she was like, walking the sidelines, and she was telling me how interested she was in sports. And I was like, yo, if you are a lady and you know sports and you can, you know, put it out there in the right way, you know your stuff, it's up for you right now. The lanes are wide open. So
Kind of.
I feel like, the space, has been created. You have some of the big talking heads, Taylor Rooks, Joy Taylor. What's my
Shout out
homegirl?
to Taylor Rooks.
What's my homegirl? The basketball. I forget her name. She's a
Carrie Champion?
not Carrie Champion.
But Carrie Champion was one of the pioneers.
No.
Shout out to her because she know her stuff.
Yeah.
I know who you're talking about. Are you talking about
She's African.
Freya Carter?
No, she's African. She has a name.
I know who you're talking about. I
can't
used
think
to
of her
call her
name.
the Spider. That is my girl. She kills it. Monica McNutt.
Yeah, Monica McNutt.
That is my baby. Shout out to you, Monica. Love you to pieces.
Who else?
It's quite a few.
Who are some of the pioneers that you looked up to? Well, first off, introduce yourself. That's Danache.
First of all, okay, because I'm about to say he's stalling y'all because he can't say my name right.
Danache.
I'm the host and the creator of an Under Review podcast. Check us out. We are everywhere, and we talk about it all. NFL is my baby, and we get busy, and I will run you down, but that's neither here nor there. Pioneers, Jamil Hill, right? And His and Hers was out. That was my show.
Okay.
Amazing. And we all know Jamil can run it down. As I stated before, like Carrie Champion. We all know women, for the most part. There were some outliers prior to, but I'm talking about in the era of the Carrie Champions and the Jamil Hills on the ESPN when they were more moderators, right?
Okay.
I believe Molly knows her stuff too.
Okay.
Even though she does an excellent job being a moderator and host of First Take.
First Take.
Women kind of were like stuck in that box in that lane. But you know Jamil knew her shit.
Yeah.
You know she did. Carrie Champion knows her shit.
Right.
You know that. Taylor Rooks knows her thing, but like you said, now it has kind of pivoted. Women are more opinionated, doing opinionated takes. And they're in front of the camera more. So they're falling away from more of the hostess, moderator lane. And there's so many avenues, right? To be a sports commentator, analyst, journalist, whichever lane you want to phrase it as. But motherfuckers getting lazy, though. They're not putting in that work, okay?
No names.
You can love it. You can speak about it, but put in work. Who else is my girl? Mina.
Okay, Mina Cons.
That's my girl.
Really?
What?
How's she your con?
Because you can tell she has the passion. She knows what she's talking about.
Okay.
The way she breaks the game down. She drops those analytics. I love bringing in, like, analytics is my baby, but I try not to do too much because, the numbers don't always translate to what you do, right? But that's a whole nother conversation, analytics and sports. Sidebar, your Colorado Buffaloes hat is fucking tough.
No, thank you.
Let the people see it. The people
thank
see
you,
it?
Thank you.
It ain't doing it no justice on the camera. The people see it. That's just fire.
That one-on-one. You know what I mean? We're going to get to Coach Prime in a minute, but, right now, real quick. So what made you want to be a podcaster? What made you put yourself out there?
So anybody that know me know, like, I love me some Jesus. I love me some music. I love me some sports. Okay? Your girl is multi-talented, multifaceted. I've always spoke about sports. Like, sports always been my thing. And I wanted to do it for so long, but I kept waiting on people. And waiting. One day I was like, fuck it. I'm going to just do it. It was originally supposed to be a woman's only thing. I wanted another woman. I had a girlfriend of mine who is excellent. She really knows her sports. All sports. Baseball, basketball, you name it. And as we got closer, I think she got like a little nervous because, it's different when you doing a podcast or whatever, or just talking in front of people. So that kind of fell through. But long story short, a very close friend of mine who actually played at Rutgers. His brother was in the league for a bit. He's actually was a former trainer, now has his own businesses, own gym. Shout out to Jeremy and some other amazing things that he's doing. Campbell?
I don't know. Okay.
Yeah, this was before your time.
Okay.
Because you played at Rutgers too, right?
I was walk on, but you know what I mean.
The same thing. Like did you play or did you not play?
There's a difference. You know what I mean.
Were you on the team or were you not on the team?
I definitely made the team.
All right.
110%. But did I play? Nah. I mean, my time was short. My time was short.
Right, but you were part of the Scarlet Knights.
All right.
You
Till the wheels fall off.
Okay. All right. But yeah, shout out to my guy. We started a joint venture. We were audio only
Mm-hmm.
because it was COVID. Everything was shut down.
Yeah.
And then we transitioned to video and YouTube. I want to say about 2 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
That time is flying.
Okay.
But I don't know. It's amazing. It's fun. I love it. I love being. I love talking my shit, man.
Yeah.
I love talking my shit.
And guess what? Talking your shit is what boy.
Wait, we could cuss on here because I've been going.
Listen. It is what it is.
I'm sorry, y'all. We can't cuss.
It is. It is what it is. You know what it is. I'm a mentor, and I be trying to tell kids all day stop cussing. So
right,
maybe I can't. You can do what you do. Live
children,
your best
I'm
life.
gonna chill.
I'm
with
not
the
here
cussing.
to restrict. We want the full, authentic version of you. And so, if it is what it is, then that's what it's got to be. But you talking your shit is what caught my attention, and I was like, "Yo, you was talking about Josh McDaniels on something. He was like him being an offensive coordinator. Now I don't remember what the entire segment was, but those are the key things that talk about. Because if somebody's bringing up Josh McDaniels, first off, well, I don't know. This is just coming from my perspective. You gotta be somebody who's a deep diver into what you're talking, because he's not somebody who's often talked about except for his failures with the Broncos and
Excellent
the
coordinator.
and
Obviously,
mm-hmm.
not a great head coach. It takes a lot to be a head coach, and
Got him.
also a combination of the Patriots way ain't for everybody and everywhere. You can't take Bill Belichick with you to every organization. It don't work.
Right.
In New England,
Right.
it ain't gonna work in Denver, and it ain't gonna work in where else did my boy fail at? Oh, Vegas.
Vegas, yeah.
And I thought they were gonna be mini Patriots, but that's neither here nor there. But
No,
he's back.
they,
Patriots are back, people.
they, they I don't know if they back, but they still working on the back end in Vegas because they got Tom Brady over there.
They gonna be okay.
Yeah, they
Good defense. They
mm-hmm.
have a running back.
Mm-hmm.
That kid from Boise is a beast. Okay.
Yeah.
A great running back.
Okay.
Okay. The young man who was incarcerated for the incident, Ruggs.
Yeah.
I forgot his first name.
Yeah.
He should be coming home soon. Will he come back in the league? That's the story that is out there. We are uncertain.
I feel like he's going to be. He ain't gonna go back to the Raiders though. I don't think so.
Who knows?
I think it's too much. It was too much happened at the time. I think that would be. It would be a nice story.
Different people. Different people.
Same owner.
Same owner, but listen, baby, he under that Tom Brady effect. Okay, he want to align himself. Like if Brady say it's a go, it might be a go.
Well, Brady and shout out to, this is something that a lot of people don't talk about. Richard Seymour is actually on.
I love him. Give my boy a jacket. Okay, I'm back.
Yeah. Richard Seymour is actually in the front office with the Raiders too. So it's a combo. You got a lot of Patriots way over there. So it could happen. Obviously they drafted him for a reason. If he's still fast, if he's been working out in his downtime, obviously, somebody might take a risk on him. If any worst come to worst, he'll end up in the UFL. And if he balls out, then it is what it is. But talent over everything. If you learn your lessons, shoot, they gave Dante Stallworth a second chance, and he had a similar thing. He didn't. I don't know if it was a speed ticket.
A second chance.
Yeah.
But they gave quite a few people a second chance.
Look at you. See why I like her? She bringing out stuff that I wasn't even thinking about in the moment.
The second chances was done up with. Ray Rice was probably the first person in a long time who we didn't see get a second chance. Let's keep it 100 with
True. But I think with him, it was, shout out to Ray. I know him, and I was surprised when all that. But I think if the video wouldn't have come out,
he
would have got a second chance. But we saw the passion of that smack and everything that came with it, and it cemented a lot of things in a lot of people's heads. And years and years later, he got used as the scapegoat for everything domestic violence.
Absolutely.
And but the thing is, there's a lot of that in the league.
But let me tell you something.
Okay.
One thing about the NFL, and the NFL is my baby. I love y'all. But one of the problems with the league, because nothing is perfect, they've always been reactive and not proactive.
Yes.
And if it wasn't like all this outrage and call for action, they probably very much would have, video or not,
Yeah.
pushed that to the side, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, to your point, he became the example.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, we're gonna be proactive. We're gonna do this. We're gonna do that. We're gonna talk about
Mm-hmm.
domestic violence and all type of violence when a lot of things happen behind closed doors in people's house that the league and teams may or may not be aware of, or more likely aware of,
Mm.
that they just, all
Yeah.
right. Because to your point, talent, business, we got to make this money. We got to get these wins.
Yeah. Yeah.
But shout out to Ray, though.
Shout out to Ray. Rutgers great, you know what I mean? Alumni and sometimes alumni over there. Shots fired. Um, Patriots way. What do you think of your new head coach? That's something I thought because we had this conversation.
Y'all, I play too much. But now I like Mike Vrabel. The only thing that sucks is Gerard Mayo's my guy too, right?
Yeah.
Love him to death. It's just unfortunate. Didn't like how it went down.
Yeah.
I do appreciate the fact that Robert Kraft, being a man that he is, took accountability and onus and acknowledged, like, listen, I didn't want it to go down like this.
Mm-hmm.
I feel messed up. Try not to curse for the kids. I feel messed up that I put him in this predicament because it didn't go the way it planned. And it was a couple things I think that kind of shot Gerard in the foot.
Mm-hmm.
I think he could still be a great coach. It's unfortunate too because black coaches get the one and done treatment. That's what I don't like.
Right.
Right? They get the one and done treatment.
They get the one and done treatment, and they get the set up team for future success treatment.
Right.
Because
And our team last year was struggle, but
they was
I was
figuring it out.
curious as a fan and as a person that loved the sport, right? We had all this money, cap space. We did nothing in free agency.
Mm-hmm.
And the draft was like, So I was curious. So we weren't set up to win
Right.
when he got it. And he also didn't, there weren't any front office moves made for us to be set up to win.
Mm-hmm.
So that kind of, I think that's one of the main things that kind of shot him in the foot.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have all these reports that the way he spoke in the media, blah, 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 whatever. I don't really think that was much of it. I think it may be like the friendship approach, like the player-friendly approach in the locker room.
Right.
Because you try to detach yourself from Belichick because he's known for being hard-nosed. And, yeah, worked in the beginning, wasn't really working towards the end. I think Vrabel is a mini-Belichick, but more player-friendly. So he's like the perfect storm. And we've seen Vrabel be successful in Tennessee.
Right.
Because he does, Vrabel, as much as people give Bill Belichick slack about also being a GM, Vrabel is a mini that because that's what he was doing in Tennessee. Let's keep it 100. Because remember when he drafted and they picked up, was it Levis?
Yeah.
I don't think Vrabel was a fan, or was it not Levis? Was it the draft before when they made a
No,
move?
he didn't want Malik Willis.
There you go. When they made a move, and Vrabel was not too keen on that, right? Like, so he wants to have a lot of say.
Mm-hmm.
And I think they got rid of Belichick to get a baby Bill Belichick. That's all I'm trying to say with my long-winded self.
Well, I think more than Malik Willis was the move when they got rid of AJ Brown.
Yeah,
I think that's the one that
he was not feeling that.
I think that's the one where it just set because you had AJ Brown, you had Derrick Henry, all in the same room, right? Now, what did Derrick Henry do when he went to Baltimore? He doubled up. You know what I mean? Got a new contract extension. Helped solidify some things for the Ravens. What did A.J. Brown do? A.J. Brown helped get the Eagles over the top to the Super Bowl twice. You know what I mean? And so you had those caliber of players in your organization and maybe better quarterback choices. Certain things go a different way, and you already had that in the building. You had championship caliber players in your building, and you let them go. Then you let a coach go that had the pulse of the team, had a team identity. The difference between him and Gerard Mayo is that Mike Vrabel has had a longer lease to get his stuff together to create a program where Gerard Mayo was just kind of like on the fly. Yeah, they had him as the coach and waiting, but that was only put in maybe a year prior. And it was already when Belichick was kind of on the clock of when I'm gonna be
Mm-hmm.
out of here. So
And who's your supporting cast too? That's important,
right,
especially for new head coaches.
right,
Your OCs and DCs
or
be the
everything,
difference because some coaches they just there to manage, point,
right,
point and shoot, and take all the accolades, right? And
right,
we know those coordinators, those assistant coaches, they get the job done. And then you
yeah,
have some coaches who are, like you said, the pulse, like they in there,
yeah,
and they not only manage, but they more so lead by example type of thing. So that's
yeah. And I mean, Vrabel. The only difference between Vrabel, I think he was there for a longer, a greater part of the Patriots run.
everything
Gerard Mayo was there.
Yeah, Gerard was there. My
Yeah,
boy got 2 or 3 rings.
yeah,
You know what I'm saying?
but
Bang bang.
I think just that identity of championship coach, you know what I mean? It just means so much more. You know what I mean? When they've done it at the highest level and they won at the highest level, that's just something else to be seen. But um, me and you also had a conversation about Patriots running backs yesterday. I honestly was so focused on Shador during the draft that I had forgot about Henderson.
Trayvon
Henderson,
Henderson.
and one thing I said on off the top sports, I was like, when's the last time um, the Patriots really had like a running back that you could really like go like that was the identity of the team? And you said something interesting to me, and yesterday you was like, well, the Patriots really they really do things by committee. But do you think Henderson is now going to be the one that coming from where Mike Vrabel had Derrick Henry, where he was the identity of that team? Do you think it's going to be some of that going on with the Patriots this year?
I still think the Patriots will lean into running back by committee. That's always been their thing. I'll be interested to see if we do more of a featured down back,
Mm-hmm.
and if so, how do you take away from Ramondre Stevenson, right?
Mm.
Because he's been the featured back
Mm.
in New England for
Yeah.
the past 2 or 3 seasons. Last year was kind of hit or miss because he had some fumbling issues. I
Yeah.
don't know what that was about, but boy, keep it tight, okay?
Keep it tight.
But yeah, and we know running backs shelf life is what, 3 years.
Yeah.
So, but he gonna be good. You gonna be good, boo boo. We back, okay? New
I
England is
think,
back. AFC East, we back.
and I think to add to what you're saying, with Henderson being there, he can actually extend Stevenson's career because you know when you have somebody that can go in there and switch the pace up is kind of good for you.
Mm-hmm.
You don't want to wear your running backs out, or I think that a lot of teams outside of the Eagles the last couple of years have noticed like we want to have our running backs fresh for playoff runs, not just early on in the season. So you need that change of pace back or somebody else that can come in and kind of carry the load.
And they also have quite a few, but I keep forgetting about Antonio Gibson, who
Okay.
we got last year.
Okay.
He's not a wash. He was that dude in Washington.
Mm-hmm.
He's not a wash.
Oh yeah, I forgot about him. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
He's not a wash, but again, the shelf life, right? How do we utilize him? When Ramondre wasn't doing too high, came in like get a little fresh pair of legs going here and there. So yeah, they gonna be all right. I'm curious to see if we're gonna do every down back or we gonna stay running back by committee. But kind of the same thing when you had the lawyer, right? Ben Jarvis Green Ellis. He was kind of the guy, but again, he was more so by committee. Oh my gosh, James White,
Mm.
right? He was the guy, but we
He
were
was a
also
guy
by
for some time.
committee. He had a running back room, but he was just slightly featured more.
Yeah,
Oh my gosh, LeGarrette Blunt,
yeah. I had forgot he was with the Patriots for.
running back by committee. But when you and it's so, Bill Belichick is such a freaking great coach, right? And also Josh McDaniels at the time because he was the coordinator. You gonna have your running backs like LeGarrette Blunt was more like a big body, hard body, down nose hill running back. Like,
Mm-hmm.
so you have to know your personnel and when to put them in. Yo, stay with the running back by committee and get your different types of backs. Listen, don't worry about what's going on in New England. Just know we fucking back, okay? I'm
So she says. So she says. So she says. So she says. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? But since it's the we back, y'all
We back.
I have a different question for you. Maybe pop culture question.
Stay nice and don't talk about Stefon Diggs.
Stefon Diggs. You knew it was coming. You knew it was coming. Because Cardi B was showing a lot of back, and Stefon was like, "Hey, what?" That being being said, you know what I mean? What's going? Well, how you feeling about this? All this Stefon Diggs. He ain't even played it down yet. He's still coming back from injury. He got the
nice
pink
little
salt
bag.
drama. He got Cardi B. You know, is Cardi B gonna be the new Taylor Swift sensation going on this year? Like, what's going on with y'all?
Listen, I love Cardi. That's my chick. You know what I'm saying? That's my best friend in my head. But I mean, people, personal relationships, that's their business. What you doing on this field? Now, Steph, you on the boat with all them cameras, with different colors and
Yeah. Himalayan salt.
That's why, like stuff like that. Like, come on, like because of who you are, like just don't do nothing stupid like that. Like voluntary OTAs is voluntary. Like that's different. So I'm not going to kill you for not going. As a person that loves the sport, as a fan, do I want your ass there to show you committed to the team? Absolutely, right? But don't do dumb shit because now the talk is, you know, the Patriots notorious for cutting people, right? But can they bounce back from that type of money that they dished out, right? We know what Stefon Diggs was. Him being on the team is big for us because he's that guy, right? In terms of a name. Because who else do we have? We have Mario Douglas. We have other receivers that people don't really, who are you? And last year, under Gerard Mayo, and we had Jacoby Brissett, whom I love to death as a backup quarterback. They didn't really get a chance to shine like that, right? So Stefon Diggs, you came in to be a leader, do the right thing like Spike Lee, and get your shit together so we can win these games. You know what I'm saying?
I don't think the Patriots have had like a receiver of that caliber since y'all had that short stint with AB. Like, and it's
I forgot about AB. Flash Gordon too, because Josh Gordon was nice.
Yeah.
Just was coming out of timeout and then came home to grandma's house, right?
Such a mom.
That's how we do. Patriots,
Such a
like, we
mom.
get all the players who are like on their third and fourth leg or who had trouble. Then you come over to Grandpa Belichick's house, right? And he get you right. But
Right. Nah. The only reason I brought up AB because there was a podcast with Julian Edelman and somebody else
Jules
was talking about how, like, regardless of everything that's going on with AB off the field, his short time in New England, like they was like, yo, we had the best practices. He raised the level of everybody.
Talent is crazy.
His talent was crazy. So I think when we talk about somebody like a Stefon Diggs, you want that to be that type of motion. So it's interesting to see because outside of Tom Brady, because you know it's Brady and Giselle, you know, the Patriots aren't that organization that usually attract that type of attention. You know, the Cardi B's, the Taylor Swift, all that type of vibe.
Lock in. The culture is to win. And ain't about who your girl is, who your man is. Nah, lock in. We don't care. Love Cardi to death. Love her. But baby, football is football. We need to lock in. I know times are changing, but listen, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, right? You can evolve, but you don't have to necessarily change who you are and your identity.
Right.
I just want to see Stefon Diggs. I want to see him come back as a player because, like, as a player, when you get hurt, like, that sucks. You want to get back to your form. How old is he? Is he in his 30s? Is he
almost 30? He probably almost 30.
Something?
Probably almost 30.
28. So I want to see how you come back from that injury. What was it, torn ACL?
Yeah.
I want to see you come back. I was on his page earlier. I was watching his little rehab videos, so he looking good. But let's see you on the field. He came back. He was at practice the other day. So,
luckily he plays at a position that, you know, I mean, obviously those cuts that receivers have to make are always serious. The better cut you make, you know, depends on what route you got going on. You know what I mean? So that knee is always going to be a little something. But, you know, shoot, Odell came back from that and got right with the Rams. A couple people have come back from it, and I think that's his first major injury that I know of.
I remember.
So it'll be all right. And I think the one thing that he wants to do is he wants to stick it to Josh Allen and the Bills. So
yes, as he should.
I think he really wants to stick it to Josh Allen.
As he should. But listen, on the review, right? I've spoken many a times how Stefon Diggs was up out of there. They're like, no, he gonna stay. I'm like, baby, Look at the body language. Look at
Mm-hmm.
my boy. I just like how he was with the Vikings, right? That's just been a pattern of his, like
Mm-hmm.
elite receiver at the time.
Mm-hmm.
He had enough. He felt like he wasn't winning, so he pieced out.
Mm-hmm.
Same vibe in Buffalo, because
Mm-hmm.
Buffalo, they keep getting better, they keep ascending, but they can't get over that hill. And by that second time, third time they lost, I'm like, yo, he out of here sooner or later. Mark my words.
I don't know why he ain't staying in Houston. I mean, it was a good situation, up and coming quarterback. Maybe Houston.
But again, got traded. Contract money talks.
Yeah, that's true.
Money talks.
Older, I guess a little bit older. Injury. Then the injury added to it, so that's probably why he got.
And they said he was such a great leader and teammate there.
Yeah.
So that is very interesting. But it could be so simple as money talk, because I heard nothing negative
Nothing
about him or
Nothing.
situation. So
Well, if he get cut, he might have some place to go.
he ain't getting cut.
Yeah.
I don't think the Patriots going to eat that. I think Mike Vrabel press conference and all that other stuff is just like warning shots. All the things that are leaking in the media and how they might cut him and all that. I think it's just like, listen, keep shit tight in house, and we gonna be all right.
Bet. Let's go. We're gonna focus on one more Patriot great. Yeah, another one of your bulls, your babies. All that good stuff. Yeah,
If you in New England, I'm rocking with you. You feel me?
Asante Samuel. And Deion Sanders. They had a little back and forth in the media recently. It was related to some old stuff. You know what I mean? Prime said something back in the day on the NFL Network. Asante wasn't feeling like it was accurate, because of the style of play that Asante
They
has. You
bringing
know
up
what I
old
mean? Yeah.
Deion ain't
And
been
then
on NFL Network in like 30 years.
yeah. But you know, it happened, and then it came up again. I guess Asante Samuel actually has a podcast now, and then what ended up happening was Asante and Coach Prime got together, and they started talking about it. The difference in playing style. Now, before I even brought it up,
I did say they use different techniques.
they use different techniques. So break it down. Just break it down for the people so they understand the argument that Asante was trying to make.
So Asante has always, if you know Asante Samuels, I'm trying to bring up his stats versus Deion stats, but Deion is elite. But to me, it may be because I'm a Patriot fan and I'm biased, and when you're a fan of a team, you really get to see the
How long you
player
been?
play.
I'm gonna cut through the cheese. How long you been a Patriots fan? So
A
that's
long
sort of
time. I'm talking Curtis Martin. I'm talking Pete Carroll. I'm talking Drew Bledsoe. I remember Steve Grogan, but I'm gonna be honest, I was too young. Like I know who he is. I remember
Bill
him,
Parcells.
but of course Bill Parcells. But I'm talking Troy Brown. I'm talking for Matt Light. I'm talking forever. But to be transparent, I probably would have been a Tennessee Titans fan because growing up, I was in love with the Houston Oilers.
Okay.
Right? I didn't really have a team. The way I obsess about football now, I used to obsess about basketball. And shout out to my godbrother / cousin, Elise. He's from Boston. So growing up, I was a tomboy. Used to follow all my male cousins, do whatever they wanted to do. And because I didn't have a football team, he kind of molded me to be a Patriots fan. Because I was locked in on the Knicks. Like, come on. Like, from Brooklyn, parents are foreigners. Like, New York, everything. That's how we doing it. But he kind of molded me into being a Patriots fan. But definitely I would have been a Tennessee Titans fan because I was growing up watching the Oilers. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. What we talking about?
Asante Samuel.
Yeah. I mean, he's nice. His numbers are nice. He was coming from a place where he feels constantly disrespected. I remember when he was on, I don't think it was The Pivot. I think it was when Brandon Marshall show was popping at the time. Oh my gosh, what's the name of that show?
I Am Athlete.
I Am Athlete. And I believe he was on there and he was talking about the difference between a lockdown corner and all that stuff. And all his points were valid and accurate. But he, again, was on the wave that I'm elite, which he was, very elite. I think he is one of the top corners. His numbers do back it up. But he was just saying that he's not respected. And he isn't. When they talk about elite corners, most people not bringing up Asante Samuels. They not. My man was nasty. He had 439 tackles, 7 forced fumbles, 3 recoveries, 164 pass deflections, 51 interceptions. And I know off the top of my head, Deion had about 53, 54. So that's probably why he was in his bag like, bro, my numbers
Are up there.
They're here. They're like kind of close to you. But Deion is like,
I'm prime.
he is prime.
Right.
The man played less than like, I don't know how many games. He played less games than Asante, but his numbers are super sad.
Right.
Super past him. Like Deion is who he thinks he is.
Yeah.
Who he knows he is.
Right.
Prime is prime. You can't do that. You can't do that.
I like the fact that they got together. I like the fact that they like hashed it out and they said, it's like, nah, we're gonna keep it authentic. I don't know if you had a chance to peep the episode. You maybe check it on the way.
I'm about to watch
And
it.
they talked about it and they gave an example, arguments. The one thing I like about those pros is like when they talk about it. Like, so Prime's point was that, I travel. Like, that was my guy. I'm taking him out the game. He's like, I know what type of day I got. When Jerry is across from me, I got Jerry. When Michael Irvin is across from me, I got Mike. That I get this cat, you got that cat. And I think what Asante was saying, I didn't focus on the player. I didn't focus on the receiver. I focused on the quarterback and how I played different games with the quarterbacks. And if that person came to my side, then that's who the person I got. And so Prime was like, nah. And I love
whoever was that A receivers who was locking down. Right.
And the thing was Prime, but the way Prime put it, which I loved about he was saying, he was like, no. He said it wasn't just about me locking down their best guy. I wanted to promote it as like a Ali and Foreman. Like, I wanted you to know, like, this is the battle of the day. And when I thought about it, I was like, dang, Prime was in his bag. Like, the marketing genius part of him was like, that's the other part why I need to have that receiver.
But what makes you, and that's like a conversation within a conversation, right?
Right.
Because then cornerbacks start debating what makes you an elite corner. Because some people think an elite corner are people who mostly get interceptions.
But interceptions can be luck.
They could be luck. They could be you a ball hawk. They could be.
I remember one time in high school, I was playing linebacker, and the quarterback, we run our drills and we running, and I'm like backpedaling, and I read him so good that I was someplace I wasn't even supposed to be. I was about to think, and I reached up, me and our free safety reached up, and we both tipped it, and then another guy got it, and he ran it back. My boy, shout out to my boy Keith Rackett. His name is Boom Boom. My name is Boom. But and the strong safety got mad at me. He was like, "Yo, what are you even doing over here? That's not your." But I was like, "Yo, I read."
Locked in. You read the QB.
Yeah, I read the quarterback, and so, but guess who got the interception? My other homie, because everybody read that joker, and so it was like. Interceptions could be so many different things. It could be a tip pass. It could be a luck. It could be you reading the receiver's position exactly how the play is made. Sometimes it's just about doing your homework, quarterback tendencies. It could go so many different ways when it comes to an interception. So me saying that is that I don't know what makes a cornerback like a thing, but I think you have to at least be in the top percentile of each category.
I'm in agreement with you. Maybe it's because I come from a different era of football, a more older school football. I'm more of the mindset of Deion Sanders. I prefer my corners. For me to be elite, you got to play both sides of the field. People get so mad at me when I say this, right? Richard Sherman. The boy was nice.
But he only played one side.
But he only played one side, Rich. I know you get so tight when people say this. But this is for Nashi. I keep it real. To me, he was nice. And at the time he was playing, he was one of the best at the time he was playing.
Right.
But do I have him ranked in my top? I don't put him up there with Deion. Because he never traveled both sides. And when he got switched to the opposite side, he was getting burnt. And that's not to say corners don't get burnt, because some of the best do. But he was getting burnt often. Often. Jalen Ramsey kind of similar. Jalen's my boy, too. He just got older. And I'm a big believer, like, once you ain't, start transitioning to safety. I know a lot of people don't like that. But it's
He's one of those. He's one of those.
It's okay. It's okay to do that, y'all. Trust me. But anyway, I just love the sport. I played when I was a little bit. You know what I'm saying? I got a son who's 22 years old now who played at a very elite level. So listen to me when I talk. But anyway, just I don't know. Darrell Revis to me, he's that dude, right? Certain people they just that dude. Jonathan, was it Jonathan Jones? Shit, he was on the Patriots for like 2 years, maybe three before they traded him. Before they got rid of him, he was playing at a very elite level. Travel both sides. Oh my gosh, I'm blanking. I'll get back to it because it was him and it was somebody else that was on the team. And I can't think because I'm having brain fog.
That's okay. Well, with the brain fog, you know what I mean. I think one person, who else was pretty? Pat Peterson had it for a while.
Yo,
He had it for a while.
nasty. Surtain.
Patrick.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, Patrick Surtain is a problem.
Listen, I just got excited, right?
Yeah.
Oh my god, yo. And then Junior.
Yeah, he's a problem.
He's nice.
And I think that's the thing. Like now is actually the best time for corners, right? Because the game is so geared towards passing. All the numbers go towards the receivers and stuff like that. That now we really gonna get to see. Like I'm excited to see what Travis Hunter's gonna do at this level.
You in my head? Just thinking about him.
And it's gonna be interesting to see because he plays. They're gonna let him play both sides. I don't know how much they're gonna let him play both sides, but they're gonna let him play both sides. And moreover, like, it's going to be interesting to see. But I think Travis is going to have issues because even Coach Prime was talking about it. He was like, to be honest with you, he hated short, quick guys, like short, fast guys, like super, super fast guys. He said that he can say that now. Nobody knew, and that's a great thing that nobody knew that was somebody he not necessarily struggled with, but those are the type of players he hated. And even Asante said he hated players that were super, super quick. Because now you got to do a little extra work and stuff like that. And you get like things. And I think Asante said the receiver that gave him the most trouble was Marvin Harrison. I
remember those battles. Trust me. I used to love watching Patriots play Colts. When it comes to Travis Hunter, I just hope that Jags don't fumble him. Because when he got drafted to the Jaguars, I'm excited he got drafted, but my first thought, or it was like an instinct thought, is I hope they don't fumble him. I hope they don't mismanage him.
Yeah.
Any smart coach would look at how he was utilized in college, because yes, he played both sides of the ball, but if you really look at the numbers, he played lesser on one side as opposed to the other. Right. I know we get into this narrative like he just played. No. We realistically speaking, it's a lot to learn, both offense and defense. Not saying he can't do it. He might be the unicorn that we think he is, right? But recently, either today or yesterday, one of his coaches, the assistant coach, actually said for defense that he's been so immersed lately in the defense and he's been playing really well defensively. So I'm curious as to what side of the ball they're going to start him on when it happens. Because, there's those debates like he'll make a better receiver, he'll make a better corner. He's a smaller body. So we will see. But as of now, it seems like they're hyping it up and speaking more of him on the defensive side. And I see your face. What do you think?
No, I agree. I think they're going to start him on defense and then bring him as a third receiver, number 3, and just let him be in the slot. Because you don't want him getting jammed up at the line. You want him to be able to roam free. And he can either, with his endurance, run a lot of clear routes for some other receivers, or he's going to be that guy that you're going to put on your that nickel corner that he's going to take advantage of. And then it's just that bang, bang. But I would definitely, I think he has a lot. At receiver, he did what he needed to do at Colorado. But what I noticed is anytime he took pride, anytime he got, let's be real, because a lot of people want to talk about his greatness, Heisman, he did all this and did all that both ways, million different snaps and all this and all that. But let's be real. There's 2 receivers that got at Travis at college. Alec Manor, who was in the same division. He's in Tennessee. And Tedero McMillan, who's in Carolina right now. and those were two of his worst games. And I think there was actually a couple games. Shout out to my boy off script TV, Scotty, who in the HBCU level that got at Travis because Travis was struggling against maybe smaller, quicker receivers
What
because
did Deion say? Yeah.
he's a long strider. So that being said, Travis has a lot more work to do at has a lot of work to do against certain receivers at corner, but I think he takes a lot more pride
And
in
being
the defensive side.
you can tell.
And
I see
you
it.
know, receiver is like something he does for fun. But I'm not in Travis Hunter's head. This is just outside looking in. Um, Speaking of Coach Prime, we'll land it around this topic. There was a subject, and this is off the top. I just remembered it, but there was a issue. I guess one of the Fox talking heads, I forget what his name was talking about how now they got a problem because Coach Prime is defending how he prepared his son for the NFL draft. And, you know, obviously we all witnessed Shador fall to round 5 for no reason. Nate loves this to use the word collusion. You know what I mean? All that good stuff. But, you know what I mean? I'm just curious of what your thoughts on because I was like, I don't understand. What are your thoughts on that whole situation? You know what I mean?
So many thoughts, so many stories coming out, so many this and that. The only thing that I have heard, that we all have heard, that I probably gave some merit to, is the way teams passed on Shador on the way he handled
interview,
his interviews.
right?
That is the only thing I may give merit to.
Uh huh.
We weren't there, we don't know. Some teams are saying that he didn't. He took it as if it was what's the word I'm looking for? Oh my gosh.
He was too cocky. That
Not cockiness, they were saying, but more like when you go in for these teams and anybody that's played at a collegiate level that's preparing or you're getting ready for the next level, when you go and you go visit these teams, when they interview you, it is an interview, like a job interview.
mm,
They were saying that he treated it as if he was getting recruited.
mm,
So that's the only thing I kind of like, maybe probably gave a little merit to, but everything else is just like BS. I firmly believe like the league made an example.
mm,
I don't think Deion was wrong in the way he handled it. I kind of wish that they had an agent that wasn't Deion because the agent probably would have did more, said more to these teams like, hey, yeah, I know you think he's cocky, but the kid is really like a humble, down to earth kid. Like, you get
mm,
what I'm saying? Like, that's your agent's job to sell you, to make sure that
mm.
you're where you're supposed to be.
Yeah, he can
Uh,
tell you about the blind spots too.
that part, right?
Yeah.
Dion isn't the first agent parent to do this. So like it's like calm down. I just know the league made an example out of Shador and Dion. They
Mm.
very much so did. You can say whatever you want to say.
Right.
And when is the last time we've seen a Arch Manning, Peyton Manning situation in the draft?
Right.
We haven't seen it since.
Right.
I don't care what nobody says. The league let that happen before. They definitely ain't doing that shit again. And
Mm.
I don't think we are gonna see it. I don't
Mm.
know if my mic I need to whatever.
Right.
I don't think if we are gonna see it again,
Mm.
right? It's not just Dion, it's gonna be the next and the next and the next.
Mm.
It's not happening. And they made a point to do that with the Sanders family.
It'll be some time. It'll be some time because if you look at like the league now, well, college football now, there's a lot of legacies up and coming. You know what I mean? Even people that you'd be like, "Dag, he had a son." He was like, "He didn't even play that long ago." And he'd be like, "Dag, he about to be like, I think like Adrian Peterson got a son that's about to be Vince Young. I could keep going.
Vince Young got a son.
Yeah, he's balling in Texas. There's a couple of these legacies that are about to come up. So what you're saying does make sense. Like we don't want this to be the standard because there's a whole bunch of NFL legacies that's about to enter the league. I think Notre Dame got like 6 or 7 NFL pro sons like Jerome Bettis, Hines Ward, all these other
I know
people.
Ryan Clark. Did
Ryan Clark,
I don't think his son
his
I don't think his son got drafted. Did he?
no, I don't think he's out. I don't think he came out this year
Okay.
because I feel
thought
like he
his
would
son
have
was
been talking
supposed to
about it a
graduate.
little bit
Yeah,
more.
me too.
Um,
His
and
son was nasty too. I was watching Clark Jr. play. Yeah, he alright.
yeah, and so it's a whole bunch of NFL legacies that's about to come out in the next 2-3 drafts, maybe 2-3 drafts from now, probably like 4. But yeah, I agree with
I
that.
don't
You
think
know,
the NFL they like to have that power.
yeah,
Come on, the good old boys club they have that power. As much as I love the league, but there's a lot of things I don't like about it. And we all know they're a good old boys club.
right.
They wasn't letting that, and it was very much we gonna keep you people in your place. You ain't gonna have that power.
I think the whole situation is foolish, unless you know what I mean. Unless you know what I mean. Unless, because I had this thought while you was talking about Jacksonville, I was like, unless that coach is one and done, then Coach Prime get the job, and then he'd be like, "Oh, my son was only worth a 5th round pick. Come on over, come on over." Depending on what happens with Trevor Lawrence, but that's just random.
Listen, God's plan. I'm happy Shador is on the team first and foremost, even though Cleveland is a hot mess. They've been a hot mess organizationally from a while. They have a great coach in Coach Stefanski, but it's from the tippy top, and we know it. So we'll see what happens. I think Shador should have been in a situation where he sat for a year to learn behind a veteran presence. But we were talking offline. That's why I thought Vegas was a great move for him. You said Miami, which was very interesting because I don't think anybody thought about that. I don't think the Steelers, I was excited when I saw the Steelers were kind of interested, but when I thought about it in hindsight, the Steelers are in hell right now. We've never seen them from an organizational standpoint be where they are. Definitely putting all the chips on a quarterback
Right.
who is washed. I am sorry. Y'all know how I feel about Aaron. But no, and I think that Aaron Rodgers thing played a factor into why Shador didn't even get drafted by him.
Which is crazy because he still ain't signed with them. That's crazy. Hopefully the Steelers assign Aaron Rodgers because I'd be like, this is all for nothing. Like, who's going to be their
Why are they
quarterback?
better off with Kirk Cousins?
Or well, I mean,
If that's even an option, but we know the deadline is getting closer and closer. Where you get what I'm saying, but at the time,
but Aaron like to show his ass sometimes. He's in his show his ass
has
era.
nobody learned from the Packers organization what happens when you give that man too much power,
Right.
bro? He been on his way. Don't get me started on this man.
Yeah.
He's a great talent, but we doing too much. And we doing too much too late.
He definitely in his show his ass era. That's all I know.
He
about.
been showing it. Y'all not fed up?
Yeah, I don't know. And it's kind of like Khalid. Like I was like, dang. Like somebody was like, he just need to retire, and I was like, maybe he do. I was like, I'm rooting for him. Some part of me is rooting for him, but I'm like, some part of me is like, bro, if
No
you ain't
mas.
if you ain't figured it out, then just let us go.
No
Cause stop.
No mas. That's not good. We in OTAs right now.
And there's a rumor that some of the Steelers players, they're like, yo, why are we getting asked about questions about somebody who's not
rumor.
that somebody's not here?
It's no rumor. It's a fact. When you have Cam Hayward,
Yeah.
when you have one of your vets, well respected, say months ago, what are we doing here? That's a problem. That's a problem. That's not a good look. Either get your guy or move on. The season is around the corner. Okay, I'm done.
Okay. Speaking of moving on, speaking of moving on, this is where we're really gonna land the plane. I'm gonna give you a few minutes to talk about your Knicks, because we don't just talk about football here. We talk about everything.
So the Knicks did well, but as a fan, I don't give a fuck about well. We supposed to be in the finals right now, but we did good, right?
Knicks in 8.
Yeah, this is crazy. I mean, a lot of talk about Mikal Bridges is a failure. A lot of talk about Cat being a failure. I don't think that's the case. Like, it's only been a year with Mikal, right? He showed up when we needed him to. Let's not forget about that, okay? The last playoff series with the Celtics, he was there. He didn't show up for the Pacers. He just didn't. Cat didn't show up at times either, right? I think the Knicks need to focus on continuity. We don't need to bring in nobody crazy and blow up and all this. We already spent 5 draft, picks, whatever. Continuity and the mother effing bench, right? As a Knicks fan or as a fan of basketball, and if you know Tibbs, rotate. There was no reason for us, well, we needed to out of desperation to go to the bench when, I don't want to use the word I want to But most coaches, you play around during the regular season. You go to your bench, you figure out identities, and guess what? Guess what we learned, people?
What we learn?
That the effing bench can play defense and they can do their thing, but it was a little too late. And plus, the Pacers were obviously a better team. I don't want to say it out loud, but the Knicks are good. They're good. Continuity. Let's see what it does. My question is, do we fire Tibbs? Part of me want to say yes. He did get us here. We know we can do it, but we need somebody to probably take us to the next step. We know Tibbs' MO, defense. He a defense poppy. He let his guard do his thing. He run his players and his guards to the ground. Thank God he ain't do that with Jalen this year.
Right.
But that's his MO. You got us to how far you going to get us.
Who would you replace him with?
I don't know. Good question. I got to do in my bag, get my little research. I got to get in my bag and see who's a good fit for us.
TBC. To be continued. To be continued. We let Danache.
Danache.
I just want to make sure. I just want to make sure she knew her name. We would let sure.
Adrenaline, man.
We let Danache land it. You know what I mean. I want to thank you for coming through today. It's last minute. You know what I mean. Last
you
minute.
Think I was ready?
Yeah. She came ready, and we are hoping that you can be a future part of Hit the Ground Running. You know what I mean? And I like what we got going on here. I'm sure Nate.
Where Nate?
Nate. Wait, say it again.
Where Nate? Nate, where you at, brother?
Nate, the call out has happened. The shenanigans have again. Because I'm telling you, when he come up in here, the shenanigans going to get. Especially when it comes to that Knicks and basketball talk. Y'all know I'm a football guy through and through. I'll talk track and field. I'll talk a lot of things. Basketball ain't it, except for the finals. I'll get busy with the finals,
which I'm not watching.
Yeah. So that being said, this is Hit the Ground Running. Hit the ground running. We hitting the ground running and going on to other things in life. You can give a shout out to your baby boy too if you want to.
Happy birthday, Josh. My now 22-year-old son. It is crazy.
Yeah.
Happy birthday to you, Poppy.
Happy birthday to you, Poppy. And I'm Boom. And that's
Danache.
Danache. We are out. Peace.
Later.
All right.
That was